Amazon time off system. I just feel like this was honestly something that somebody should explain. Somebody should just try to make a video, try to just kind of summarize it as simply as possible for new workers working there, people considered working there. I honestly think this is something you really should know before you go into Amazon. Okay, so generally speaking, at a regular job, you know, let's say you want to take some time off. You tell the manager, you tell your boss, you tell your supervisor, you know, you do it and you take the time off. And I guess at some point, maybe you can get known as a worker who takes off too much time. You show up to work too late, and by the manager, your supervisor's discretion, you can possibly get laid off. That's a general job scenario. We're not talking about how Amazon works yet, because it's a lot more complicated than that, but I'm gonna make it simple for you. But we're talking about generally a job speaking. It's more of under the manager's discretion to decide when he's gonna let you go. Maybe you have a good relationship with the manager and he gives you a lot of leeway. Maybe the manager doesn't like you and he fires you a lot sooner than you want. Amazon has a very automated computer managed setup for taking time off, and I honestly believe, while there's a perk to this, is that technically the way this system works is you can officially take a day off without calling anyone, and you can just stay home and it's not technically a problem. So there's a perk like that, and I'll explain how that works. And you can technically leave whenever you want and they can't really hold you accountable to it. Maybe they think you look like a bad worker, but they can't really hold you accountable to anything. Though it's a system that I honestly believe Amazon came up with, and I'm going to explain the system. I believe they came up with it so that when you hit peak season, when you hit Prime Week, when it's Christmas, the holiday seasons, or when they're just generally busy, you run out of your computer pre-selected time you have off, so you have no choice but to work as much as possible. And the computer just won't even let you take time off. Amazon, at least vacation time, during their holiday seasons, during their peak season, the computer literally, all right, I'm gonna try to break it down a little bit. You have unpaid time off, you have paid time off, and you have vacation time, and then you have leaves, which is a little bit more, that's a little bit more complicated, because the thing with a leave is it has to be approved by Amazon, and they don't have to approve it. I've had situations where I've tried claiming that people in my family died. I tried honestly making up stories to see if I could get some leave approved, and they didn't approve it. And honestly, like, I tried really hard. I was actually really astonished the fact that they didn't actually approve it. And I also have an entire another video about how when I actually, I'm not gonna get into this because that's for the other video, but basically I have another video talking about how one time I was using Amazon's career choice program, where Amazon pays for me to go to school, and it's all Amazon funded, it's all Amazon program, and Amazon approves your time off. It's all built into the system. But I was working on getting a commercial driver's license, not going to a college class. I had no license in my hand. I did not even take my road test, and Amazon denied my claim to get more time off. So I don't want to get into that right now because that's not the point of this video. I did make another video for that. Well, the point is, the unpaid time off, they give you a select amount of hours. I believe you get like, I believe it's about 80 hours a year, and then paid time off, I think it's about 80 hours a year. Vacation time, I don't honestly remember the exact numbers. I'll just say it's 80 hours a year, just to explain how this works. All right, let's say 80. And the real key to this system you need to know is that if you run out of time, you automatically get fired. And that's why I explained that in the beginning, that when you work for a regular job, it's a lot easier for them to work for you. I worked with Target, and you could very easily tell the manager, all right, I can't work Thursday or Friday. You could give them a reason. You may not even have to give them a reason, and they'll just put that into your schedule. They'll literally write on your schedule that you can't work Thursday, you can't work Friday, and they'll work around that. Amazon, it's not that simple. Technically, you can try to select which shift you get when you first start the job, but you have to select one of their pre-selected shift options. You can't just say this day, not this day. It doesn't work that way. You have to select their actual options. They give you 3 options. It's I believe Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one option. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, second option. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, no Wednesday, third option. Days and nights. So you have to select which one you want. You got to select the amount of time off, and again, really the most important part of this is if you run out of that time off, you're automatically fired. And it's not like it goes up to your manager and your manager says, well, you know, he's a good worker, I know he had some health problems right now, you know, I'm gonna let that go. It doesn't, like, there's no, it doesn't work that way. If you run out of time off, and I've had coworkers that you know, I'm not gonna get into like personal details why their time was so low, because I've actually seen myself, once you take some time off, it's so hard. It feels like it takes so long, and it's so hard to build it back up. And I've had coworkers that have had almost no time off, and they literally can never be late. Never be late. Not 15 minutes late, they automatically get fired. I've lost friends because they actually did pass that 15-minute window. I had a coworker once who his car just, I believe, didn't start one morning in the winter. It was very freezing, snowing, ice, whatever. His car just didn't want to start, which is a very common problem. A lot of cars just don't want to start when it's cold enough. He was late to work that day. He was fired. Never saw him again. So yeah. You have your select amount of time off. Just to give you a little more explanation about how some of this works. Your vacation time, you get the unpaid time, you get the personal time, paid time off. You can use that whenever you want at your discretion. Vacation time, you have to submit it in advance, and it has to be officially approved. There's no vacation time during their peak seasons when they say there's no vacation time, so you can't even bother to submit it. And the computer even really screws you on this, because technically there's a date where they actually officially announce somewhere in like October. They'll say, okay, no more vacation time. So technically, if you had submitted the vacation time ahead of time, it would be approved. If it was approved ahead of time, you'd be okay. Granted, the manager may not approve it, but if he decided to approve it, you'd be okay. Though where you get screwed on this is your actual schedule in the computer, at least where I worked, didn't really go 3 months in advance. 3 months in advance would be the farthest it would actually go. So if you wanted to plan, like for me, I had a problem where I was thinking about going on vacation, and Prime Week is a random week during the summer, and it changes. It's not a set week. So I tried to just put in the vacation time ahead of time for when I knew I was going to go on vacation. But my schedule just did not even go that far in the computer system. The computer just didn't even allow me to put the time in. So it just was like a weird loophole where Amazon just kind of screws me over, because it's like you can technically put the time ahead of time, but the schedule isn't even there so you can submit it. And I tried even calling Amazon Human Resources or somebody. I tried to call somebody, got someone on the phone, and I asked them about this, if you can put the time in. And they were just like confused about this. They were just like, they didn't understand how I was trying to submit vacation time 3 months in advance. And I'm like, I already brought plane tickets. I spent money on this vacation. I brought actual plane tickets with my name on it. What do you mean I can't submit a vacation 3 months in advance? Or I think 3 months was like the limit. Like anything over that, they're like, no, you can't do it. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh yeah, I'm getting a little sideways, getting a little bit more back on track. So yeah, you get a specific set amount of time, and that could really hinder for some people. Like, granted, again, you do have your leaves, so you can, I believe you get 2 personal leaves a year. So again, you have to submit that. That has to be approved, and I guess you can take your time off, though it has to be within that certain window. You can't just be like, you know, once a month, I want to take off one day and I'm going to take a leave with it. You can't do that. I believe you only get two of them you can use a year for whatever personal, and it has to be all at once. You can't separate it. So yeah, there's a lot of restrictions on that. And then you have medical leaves, which you do get more leeway on, thankfully, with medical leaves. Though I've had a weird problem with medical leaves, that apparently my biggest problem with medical leave, I feel like it's almost a topic for another video, is that a doctor's note doesn't mean anything. What kind of job, Amazon? What kind of business are you running where a doctor note does not mean anything? I had the actual flu. Right now we have the coronavirus going on, so that's even more serious. I believe when the coronavirus hit, Amazon just had no choice but to allow people to take more time off without a problem. I think they really hit a point where they just had no choice whatsoever. Though yeah, before the coronavirus hit, I had the actual flu and I was just trying to get out of work, and I brought in a doctor's note and I was like, let me leave. And they were like, no, you can't, you gotta take this Amazon filed paperwork and you have to go back to the doctor and you have to get them to fill this out. This threw me for so much confusion, so many loopholes, and it's just like, what if I had a doctor that I can't see without an appointment? What am I supposed to do then? What if I actually had to wait? My doctor was just like, I can't just walk in and get him to fill out this paperwork. Some doctors are really like that, where they're very, very serious. Like, I had a lot of experience with doctors that they didn't want to see me until they build up a relationship with me, and I was like going through kind of like a whole topic for another video, but I actually had I had some heart problems going on. I wasn't breathing so well. You know, I had the flu. I didn't have an actual real doctor to go see, so I had medical problems going on like the last year or a year or two ago, whenever exactly that was. And a lot of doctors, they didn't want to see me just to fill out my paperwork, just to like clear me. They wanted to give me a standard checkup, a standard physical, have me go see them for a couple appointments before they actually let me be a regular patient and will fill out anything for me. I've had actual people on the phone telling me that their doctors won't fill out anything until you establish a relationship and you go see them more than once. And I've called plenty of doctors who, like, I was lucky to get one. I had to drive to one that was like a half hour, 40 minutes away when I was starting having my heart problems, just because all the doctors in my area, you would have to wait at least a month to see them. And I found a doctor that I had to drive like 30-40 minutes away in a small town that at least would see me within 2 weeks, like at the most, and I can actually at least get an appointment. Though for this, I didn't even have a real doctor. I went to a CVS clinic because I had health insurance, but I haven't gone to the doctor in years. I didn't have an actual real doctor to go see. So I went to the CVS clinic, and I had to go back to the CVS clinic with the flu, like getting around all these people, go see my doctor, my not doctor again, get her to fill out paperwork that she really does not have to fill out. I didn't have another appointment with her. I didn't pay her for her time, which she deserves to be paid. And I had to just get her fill out this paperwork. Risk her getting sick, risk her getting her family sick, go back to Amazon. Like, it was just such a mess, honestly. I had such a nightmare, such a mess with Amazon, just like giving me so much trouble. Like, they, like, the human resources, they have an actual human resources department at the job site that couldn't just let me go home. And where this story really kind of wraps in is that this time I didn't have a lot of time off. If I had taken, I think it was like 3 days off, 4 days off, I would have been fired. I didn't have a lot of time to spare at the time. So this was during peak season, and I honestly needed times off because I was just tired and messed up. I couldn't deal with all the hours and all the manual labor I had to do, and then going home, I had a family at the time to deal with. It was too much. So yeah, if I had just missed it, if they didn't approve me for a few days, I would have gotten fired. And then they were telling me, oh, don't worry about it, because if you get fired, then they'll reverse it, they'll give you your job back, which sounds kind of okay, but then brings me other problems. It's like, how long am I actually off of work? Well, let's say they actually officially fired me. Okay, now they have to officially rehire me. And how much time do I have off of work? Like, I'm a guy who tries to save money. For someone who lives paycheck to paycheck, you're looking into a lot of weird problems that you just wouldn't get from a regular job. Like when I was working at Target, I'm sure if I got the flu, I just call them. Just call them. Not even call like Target higher up somewhere. Just call my actual Target that I worked at. Tell an actual manager there, I have the flu, I can't come into work, and they probably would just be okay with it. Maybe they'd want to see paperwork. Maybe I'd drop off a paper real quick, in and out, and just, but you know, I'm sure that would have been it. And then when I'm done with it, I could just call and be like, all right, I'm good to go back to work. Amazon just gave me so much of a hassle. And the thing is like, if I was living paycheck to paycheck, you know, like, I don't know how much time would I be off before they rehire me. And the real actual bad part is I actually had a friend who was fired from Amazon and was rehired shortly after. And the way this actually worked is he was literally just fired, period. He got too many write-ups. Topic for a whole nother video. Amazon, man, you was just like, topic for a whole nother video. This I can't even get into this one too much, where Amazon is just like, I've known people who've like literally like older women in their 50s who have literally said they've never gotten a write-up, and at Amazon like they can't stop getting write-ups because the computer just throws write-ups at you like very, very easily, like over everything, and the managers have no choice but to give you. And they like to say that they try to fight their write-offs, but I don't think they actually do that good of a job. But yeah, so he got his 6 write-ups, because 6 means you automatically get fired. The computer says you're gone. Though thankfully for him, he appealed it, and during the appeal he was actually able to get back in, and he was really, really worried that he wasn't going to get back in. I believe I don't know his actual experience, but I believe he said he may have even like picked the name out of like a hat, like some weird thing, and like picked like which manager by luck is going to decide his fate, or who decides his fate. And he was worried certain people just would say no, but he got someone, whoever was actually deciding if he could come back or not, said he could come back. So what's the point of me telling you this is that when he came back, he was literally a brand new employee. They had to give him a new employee ID, a new badge, and he had to start all over from the beginning. Every single thing he did training for, he had to get retrained on and recertified. And at some jobs, that's not really that big of a deal. At Amazon, it's a really big deal. They take their training really, really seriously, their certifications really, really seriously. So over just like a real medical problem, it's very possible that I easily could have had to start all over as a brand new employee. And for me, this would have been very devastating, because when I worked at Amazon, I kid you not, at my site, on my level, I'm pretty sure I probably had the most training, the most certifications out of anyone. The only people who possibly had more training than me are people who actually, probably just the people, and this is probably it, period, who train people, because the managers didn't even know how to do most of their jobs. So it's probably just literally only the actual training people had more training than me. And I did actually eventually become one of those people too, but I would have lost all my status, everything. I would have had to start over from the beginning, and honestly, it would just probably ruin my Amazon career. That has been my Amazon horror story for today. If you want to share your comments, your experiences, please leave them in the comments. And I said comments like twice in a weird way. If you want to share your experiences, leave them in the comments, and I may share them in a future video. And yeah, just really wanted to kind of wrap up, explain this time off system that really should get explained. You do get a certain amount of time off per year, and then I believe it's like they have it's really set, whereas like every 2 weeks you get like this much vacation time, this much time off. They'll give you like 2 hours or something on vacation time like every 2 weeks, and like every quarter, I believe that's like every 3 months, they just give you like 20 hours of unpaid time off at once. They have this exact system, though I know it's like a trap. If you get comfortable, let's say you do actually work there, understand, like, this is just really, I'm giving you this video as a warning that if you know you have life situations that put you in a position where you can't really count on you being able to make it to work every single day, you know, every once in a while you really might need a day off, Amazon is just not going to be the place for you. You're not going to be able to last there. It's just, maybe you can make some money for a short amount of time, but there's no way for you to last. If you do take the job anyway, this is just something that I feel like is important for people to know, that Amazon has a very, very strict and structured time off system unlike anything I've ever seen in any other job. And if you go over your amount of time allowed off, you automatically get fired, you automatically lose your job, and it could happen unexpectedly. And as I wanted to say is that it kind of almost feels like a trap. The trap that I said earlier, because you're forced to work when you don't want to work, because you know you're automatically going to get fired if you don't show up to work. You only have so much time you can take off, and it feels like it takes forever to build that time off. And that's the real trap of it, is I feel like if you use a couple of days, use a day every once in a while here and there. Honestly, for me during peak season, I was trying to take a day off every week, and there was a couple of times I just showed up late because I was a very respected worker there. I was tired and I had the time. But once you get low, once you get down where you only have a few days to spare, some people even worse. The lows I got was maybe like 3-4 days to spare. Some people get down that they only have literally 15 minutes to spare, and they use every minute they have, and they can't take off Thanksgiving, and then they're really upset and they're crying about it, and I understand it. Though it feels like a trap because it takes so long to build it back up. And the thing is what kept happening to me is when I got down to that point, is by the time I got a full day off, I might need that full day off. Like I had a time where I had a flat tire, and it's like I didn't want to drive to work and back home with a flat tire. That's something that's just very easy if something happens. Someone just have a car problem, or you could have some sort of family emergency where you have to leave early. So in my personal experience, it's very, very easy that once you start taking that time off, my eye's starting to bother me, but I'm about to wrap up the video at the end anyway, that once you keep taking that time off, it's so hard to build it back up, because then just life kind of gets in the way, and it's just kind of like a slow but sure downfall to the end of your Amazon career, because whenever you have an emergency come up, you're going to have to use that one day that you took forever to build up, and you're going to feel like you're getting nowhere. Oh, I almost forgot to mention something in this video. I actually had this video fully edited and uploaded, and I was like, wait, I never mentioned VTO. What video about Amazon's time off system would be complete without a mention of VTO? VTO stands for voluntary time off. Voluntary time off. And how this basically works, you don't just have like voluntary time off pre-selected to you in the computer to do whenever you want. Voluntary times off is what Amazon does when they have more workers than they have work for. It's kind of generally judged on a day-by-day basis. I've seen it in rare situations. They'll judge it on a week basis, though from where I worked, it was really rare for them to do that. So basically, yeah, you may potentially get a free day off that doesn't affect your time in any way, called voluntary time off, if it's available, if your job site's low on work and they're overstaffed. It's just the thing Amazon does, I suppose, to save money and to just not have workers standing around doing nothing. So yeah, that's voluntary time off. Generally, if you sign up for the Amazon notifications, you may get an alert on your phone, may get a text message, you may get an email. You go to the Amazon's worker site and you accept the voluntary time off. And this is granted on a numbers basis where they decide how many people per department, per shift, per day can they give that voluntary time off. So two things I want to say about that, about voluntary time off. One, it's not guaranteed. So if you're hoping to get voluntary time off, if you see that message, if you're, for me, I would think about it first, usually before I do it. But if you're hoping to get it, you see that message, you're going to want to click on that message right away and accept it right away. Before, it's not guaranteed, but possibly it can go away and you may not be able to get it later because the amount of allowed slots can get filled. So it's all on a predetermined basis, set day by day, shift by shift, department by department, selects the exact amount of people to say, okay, we don't need you guys today. And I mean, is it possible you show up to work and then all of a sudden they need those people and more work shows up? Yeah, that's possible, but you know, it's not necessarily Amazon's fault. That could happen in any job. Though I've definitely had jobs where it seems like they always understaffed employees. The other thing I wanted to say about voluntary time off, and it's going to sound very weird for me to say perhaps if you're not experienced with it, is I kind of personally feel like it's a trap. Voluntary time off is great if you actually knew you have to do something, if you actually had real plans to really go do something that day, or there's just something that you really wanted to do that day, there's something you really needed to do that specific day. I mean, you know, that's kind of funny. You gotta, you know, maybe you don't want to sit there waiting to see if you can, if you're gonna get it or not. You may want to submit time in advance. So you can thankfully submit your unpaid time off and your paid time off the day of. You just can't submit vacation time in advance. Or leaves, you can't submit the day off. You'd have to submit a leave in advance. Hope I explained leaves. I'm gonna have to watch the video, make sure I explain leaves well. I honestly feel like it's a trap. If you don't truly have something planned to do that day and you had a good reason to take it off, you don't keep yourself busy, I feel like it's very easy to get comfortable and too complacent taking voluntary time off. And I've just seen it happen to me personally and to really all my coworkers who like to take voluntary time off. Then all of a sudden when you have to go to work, it's that much more harder, it's that much more draining, it takes that much more extra effort to show up to such a wonderful place that you hate working at. Said those words. And I've seen this very ironically for me, especially during peak season. When I have to work every single day, at least at some point you may get to a point where you don't think about it. You just go to work, you just get it over with, you just go home, you just go to sleep, and you don't think about it. When you all of a sudden voluntary times off comes and you start getting comfortable and you start like to doing it, and then when you can't get it when you don't want it, it kind of hurts, kind of burns, you know, gets you like kind of throws you kind of off. And I feel like it definitely could be a trap of its own. Just like I mentioned, abusing your paid time off and your unpaid time off and your vacation time off also becomes its own trap, because you get too comfortable taking days off. Then all of a sudden when you need a day off, you're low on time and it's hard to rebuild the time. So vacation time off is its own trap. So yeah, leave any questions in the comments below, guys. Any questions you may have unrelated to this video, related to Amazon or about anything you're going in life, questions you have about this video, if there's something I should explain more or explain better. Subscribe for more, and most of all, thank you for watching.